Texas State lands JMU transfer quarterback Jordan McCloud. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. All right, we'll get to news that actually happened a couple of days ago. Jeff Jones stepping down from ODU. We had one basketball game on Tuesday night, and we'll preview the Wednesday night action. But the big news happened, in the middle of my Orange Theory class on Tuesday morning. 33 splat points, by the way. That Jordan McCloud, the transfer from JMU, who had been, I guess at one point in time, reportedly going to Auburn, but that never materialized, ends up committing to Texas State. Our guy, Kev Chardello, had it, I think, Monday or early Tuesday morning before it was announced. He had the scoop, and that is huge for Texas State. Now, people were saying maybe it was even Cap that he had a ace up his sleeve. I'm not exactly sure. I would say maybe an ace that fell into his lap because we got the timeline. This would have been January 24th when I tweeted this out to Kef. All right, TJ Finley on January 11th returning to Texas State. The Arizona transfer on the 14th, Jaden DeLora settles a civil suit. On the 15th, DeLora transfers to Texas State. On the 16th, TJ Finley enters the transfer portal. And then on the 22nd of January, Finley transfers to Western Kentucky. All the news came out about the DeLora civil suit, and he leaves on the 24th. So all that took about 2 weeks to Finley to come back, or announce that he was coming back, to get Jaden DeLora there, to Finley to leave. Finley committed to Western Kentucky before DeLora actually left. DeLora left, and just about a month later, JMU's Jordan McCloud has committed to Texas State. If you watched yesterday's episode, brought that up with Brady Weiler, with PantherTalk.com. I think we've discussed this as well, with whatever happened with, whatever was going on at Texas State at the time, because this was the guy that, would seem to land in somebody's lap. And I think that's more along the lines of what it is. Someone landing in his lap instead of the ace up his sleeve. By the way, if you missed the news, Jaden DeLora committed to the NFL draft for whatever that's worth. All right. So Jordan McCloud, he was the Sunbelt Player of the Year, leading JMU to a division title. And now we know all the rigmarole with that, although they did lose to App State, I believe, right? In the big game day feast there in Harrisonburg. Transferred from Arizona to JMU, was not the starter coming out of camp. And I think the other quarterback who won the job got like stage fright. Like he could not complete a 5-yard pass. Not at all. So Jordan McCloud took over and was dynamic. Won that ball game, and then either the next week or the week after led them to a come-from-ahead victory over Virginia. They had a big lead. They gave it up, and they beat Virginia, and they had a dynamite season. Jordan McCloud had a dynamite season. Completed 68% of his passes, 3,657 yards, 35 touchdowns, maybe one too many interceptions, 10 interceptions. And that is the passing stats. Although he didn't run for all that much this year. He did run for 8 touchdowns, but he only ran for 275 yards, 276 yards, but 8 touchdowns. So he has that ability. And one would think that he's going to be dynamic in that G.J. Kinney offense that Lindsey Scott was dynamic in Incarnate Word. TJ Finley, a little bit more of a different, more of a pocket passer, although could run when necessary, when called upon. Not too many running plays were called for him, although I did see a few QB draws. He's not the scrambling type, can throw on the run because he's got a great arm. Did have Malik Hornsby in. He played sparingly as the quarterback. He actually transferred first. Then they got TJ Finley. And now Malik Hornsby has transferred to Arkansas State, and he's going to be a wide receiver. Texas State's right back up at the top of the list. You know, they are going to be certainly going into the season. They have to be the favorite in the West. No, not the Cajuns, not Arkansas State, not Southern Miss, not Troy, Texas State. Texas State has to be, with everything that's coming back, it has to be Texas State is your leading pick, right? It has to be the leader in the clubhouse, so to speak. Here's the thing, though. How good can they be? All right. They struggled defensively. G.J. Kinney had issues trying to put games away. They don't do extremely well when trying to come back, although they did have one big comeback victory. Let me see if we can find that. Was it ULM? May have been ULM. They did hold off South Alabama in the last game of the season, so that was big. And they did beat Rice in the bowl game for, I think, their first ever bowl win. Let's see what they did here. They had a come from behind win. They were down, I think it was to ULM. Yeah, they beat ULM 21-20, but they were down. They scored 12 points in the fourth quarter. They were down 20-9 in the fourth quarter with less than 10 minutes left to go. I mean, less than 9 minutes left to go. ULM scores a touchdown to make it 20-9. They got a 2-score game, and they could not win the ball game. So that's a nice win for Texas State. But a lot of times when things are not going particularly well, they do struggle. They struggled with UTSA. They struggled with the Cajuns. Troy is probably not the great matchup. They lost at Coastal. I think Coastal was using numerous quarterbacks in that game. And obviously things did not go well. That was a special teams deal at Arkansas State, giving up 77 points. So they need to do a good job when the plan does not go as planned. Sorry. And the defense needs to improve, because right now they would seem to be the team. I don't know what their schedule is. Could they do play Arizona State. Do they have a good enough schedule to get into the playoff? I'm not exactly sure. We may not know their I guess the 24 schedule has not been announced because not yet in the when the specific games are for the Sun Belt hasn't been announced yet. They get Lamar, UTSA. That's not bad. UTSA isn't bad. They do get Arizona State at home, by the way. Power 5 team coming to San Marcos. All right. That's check that one off in the column. That's pretty good. Whether Arizona State's good or not, that Power 5 team coming to you is nice. So they should be able to sell a bunch of tickets. They're going to be, I would think, heavily favored heading into SEC media days and fall ball, spring ball. We'll find out more what's going on there. And be sure to follow Kev Giardello with Win Now or Get Bent, KEFF_C. He's the one to do that. Also, Colton McWilliams over the local newspaper there in San Marcos. He can help you as well. But that was the big news. Absolutely. The big news on Tuesday is that the Sun Belt Player of the Year in 2023 remains in the Sun Belt. He ends up going from JMU to Texas State. All right, when we come back, ODU's Jeff Jones is retiring. We talk about what a great career that he had. When we come back on Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day, let me tell you a little bit about Gametime. Gametime is the Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Gametime picks the seats for a big-time savings. And the Gametime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. News that actually came down on Monday, and we'll be reading a lot from ODU's Harry Minimum on the retirement of Jeff Jones. I don't think this becomes a big surprise, dealing with a couple of health issues, although improving on both. He was in he had originally had prostate cancer, although that seems to be doing better, as doctors say, without the stress of coaching college basketball. But he suffered a heart attack in Hawaii back in December. All right, Jeff. I remember Jeff Jones, those Ralph Sampson's teams. He was a really good point guard. He held all of the records for Virginia high school basketball before one of his own players, John Crotty, broke the record, and he recruited him to Virginia. All right. So Jeff, sad to say, has put on a little bit of weight in the last few years, although apparently he's taken off 30 pounds. That's a really good start. So the health issues that he had is probably not too much of a surprise. He is getting healthier, though, so we're thrilled about that. And apparently his wife said he was retiring when he had the heart attack. He didn't really know about that until maybe this past week. He did attend senior night, which meant a lot to a lot of players, and he's had a good career. Not everybody could be a Hall of Famer. How much did Harry say he won? Like 568 ball games. He coached for 41 years, 32 as a head coach, just 29 years of age when Virginia hired him as its head coach in 1990. Since then, he won 560 games, took UVA to the Elite Eight, went to the NCAA tournament 8 times, won a national invitational tournament, and took ODU to the NIT semifinals. He's the nation's 19th winningest active coach and is tied for 91st among all-time coaches. I mean, that's a solid career, right? That's a really good career for Jeff Jones. And, young at 63, and now has a chance to hopefully live, a lot longer. Probably not only is it the health, but it is the NIL and the transfer portal to try and build these programs. He's always been around that, that Virginia, Washington, D.C., Norfolk area, right? He went from Virginia, where he spent about 2 decades, then American, which is right in the middle of D.C., and then I guess to ODU after that. And he's been a very good coach. They are going to use a service, Collegiate Athletics, I think, to find a referral service or a recruiter to find the new coach. And the AD said they're looking for somebody to be in place by mid-March. Everybody was kind of thankful that he did it now. Like, he could have waited until the end of the season and, the Final Four, when all that kind of gets done, right? All those hot new coaches get jobs based on, their tournament experience, pulling something off in either the conference tournament or getting a big win or two in the NCAA tournament, and now ODU has a good shot to get the kind of the pick of the litter on the level that they're at, level being G5. I think Shane Metlin was the one who said it's the best job in the conference. They draw a ridiculous amount of fans, right? Regardless of losing 3 of the last 4, that, the Cajuns could have been winning like 9 out of 10. They still would have drawn 1,500 to a ball game tonight against Troy. Important ball game for the Raging Cajuns. There'll be 1,500 at the baseball game that they're playing, and there'll be 1,500 at the basketball game that they're playing. Softball is way. They could have had all 3 at the same time. But Norfolk, I mean, let's be honest, ODU, they struggled this year, to put it kindly, right? I mean, they just picked up their 3rd win in conference play. They are not having a good season. Not sure how big that crowd was the other day, but nonetheless, they're averaging over 5,000, over 5,500, over 5,600. So that's a pretty good job. There's got to be a lot of talent in that area. You probably don't have to go too far outside of that area to find talent. This is not necessarily football where we got to fill up 85 scholarships, right? We could go, back to the DMV, as they call it, or, a little bit south to Carolina. There's plenty of talent for basketball in that area, and we'll see how long. It doesn't take long. That's the thing about basketball and the transfer portal and everything that's going on. If you're a good coach, you can turn things around fast because it's basically it's to every year. You're not building programs per se. And we'll see this. JMU will be a good example of that. Can they bring a bunch of new guys in? And are the young guys ready to go? Because they got a bunch of guys leaving. They had a huge senior night. And so we'll see if they can do that, because you got to replace a lot of guys. And one guy is really changing the Cajun season, and he's not having a good season. Jordan Brown transferred to Memphis, and that has not worked out for him, and it didn't work out for the Cajuns. Although Hosanna Kintingi is playing pretty well. He's having a good season. He is really the bright spot, I guess, along with Kobe Julian on the season. So anyways, back to ODU. Best of luck to Jeff Jones. Thrilled that we saw a big smile on his face and hugs all around at senior night. And he's going out. Maybe, that someone or something suggested that he needed to go with a heart attack. And glad that he's able to say, I've done my part. I'm sure I would not be surprised if he sticks around Norfolk, to be part of the university and goodwill ambassador, right? Those are easy, jobs to have, and he can still do good works, a lot of charitable efforts on his part. All right, let's take one more timeout. When we come back, we had one game on Tuesday, Texas State ULM, and we'll preview the Wednesday night matchups coming up here tonight in basketball. You're listening to Lockdown Sunbelt, your team every day. Let me tell you about FanDuel. Or not. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, I'm going to try something. I'm going to try and bet the money line on the Pelicans games, and I'm really just going to bet the favorite. I didn't understand why the Pelicans were favored until against the Knicks last night, until I saw who was out for the Knicks. CJ McCollum didn't play for the Pelicans, but almost everybody, including Jalen Brunson, was out for the Knicks. Close game until the fourth quarter. I'm not wagering a lot of money on the money lines, so I'm not going to win a lot of money. So we'll see. But we are 1-0 on the money line bets. So what I'm telling you is I'm probably going to bet a lot against the Pelicans. We'll see what happens. I just don't think they're a very good basketball team. Something's just not right. They have is Willie Green, Zion. I don't know. They're okay. I should rephrase that. They're good. They're not a great team by any stretch of the imagination. We'll put it that way. All right. They're not bad. They're not bad. I think they should be better, but they're not bad. All right. Let's talk about the action in the Sun Belt, as it is Dave Schultz, Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. Texas State with a big win over Monroe, 73-55. Texas State now moves to 6-11. Monroe falls to 6-11. They've played a couple of duds since beating the Cajuns, losing to Troy at home, although they made a run in the second half, and really kind of getting embarrassed, not ready to play at all against Texas State. So Texas State, Monroe, Coastal Carolina, and Old Dominion are the bottom four right now. Texas State and Monroe are each 6-11. Coastal Carolina 5-11. Old Dominion is 3-13. They will be playing on Tuesday next week. All right. So what happens here? Texas State has Troy at home. If they beat Troy, there's a good shot that they won't be playing in the fourth seed. They won't be playing on that first day. Monroe put themselves in a tough spot that they may be. Now, Georgia Southern and South Alabama are the other two teams that have to still play. Georgia Southern is getting Marshall and Old Dominion at home. Good shot. Georgia Southern goes 1-1 at least, if not 2-0. Although they just lost to ODU. Did they just lose to ODU? Or was that a Coastal loss? Georgia Southern. Oh, they lost. Actually, they played pretty well against. They had that big lead against James Madison. That's right. They had a 19-point lead, and they ended up losing that one. They did lose to Coastal a couple weeks ago. Let's see who South Alabama has. I think they get Southern Miss is probably in there, and who else do they get? That won't be an easy game for Southern Miss is at South Alabama. That's not gonna be an easy game for Southern Miss. And then they come here, and then they come to play the Cajuns. So South Alabama's in a tough spot. They have to win. I would think they have to beat Southern Miss to get that 7th win. That would put them in good shape to avoid the first 4 seeds. All right. As a quick reminder, South Alabama did play on the second day of the tournament last year and made it all the way to the finals. So they played on that Thursday, had off Friday, played Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. They beat, off the top of my head, they beat, I don't know who they beat first, but they beat Southern Miss, and then they beat JMU. So I don't know who they beat first. That's the one I don't remember. But they beat Southern Miss in the second game. They beat JMU after that and then lost to the Cajuns. All right, let's see what's happening else on Thursday or Wednesday, as the case may be. You mentioned South Alabama and Southern Miss. I'm going to take South Alabama in that they are a 3.5-point favorite. Samuel Tabe is going to be tough. We'll see how Southern Miss is going to handle that. I think South Alabama just handled them like last week. Yeah, 83-64 in Hattiesburg. So I presume it'll be a little bit closer than that. And they had no answers for Tabe. So we'll see. I'm sure that Juan Cardona will figure out a way to get the ball out of Tabe's hands. App State gets Old Dominion. App State will win that ball game. I don't know by how much, 14.5. This is actually to clinch the regular season title on Wednesday night against Old Dominion. That should be a relatively easy win for App State. I don't know if they cover. They should cover, but they may not have been playing up to their biggest potential. They may be a little bored, which, when you're 24-5, shouldn't be bored when you're trying to win the conference title, though. All right. Georgia State gets JMU. Georgia State's at home. Georgia State has not played particularly well as of late. JMU trying to keep up with App State to have an outside shot, which they would need App State to lose twice, and JMU would have to win twice. Still going to take JMU, 8.5-point favorites. I'll actually take I'll take JMU there. All right. I'm going to take JMU there. All right. Georgia Southern gets Marshall. This is a big ball game because if Georgia Southern wins, that makes them 7-10, and that makes Marshall 7-10. And they're trying to avoid the top 4 or the bottom 4 seeds. So that's a big ball game there. Coastal Carolina and Arkansas State. Arkansas State, this has kind of trap game written all over it. Not letdown game, but trap game because they got App State the next game, and they're playing really well. I think Arkansas State wins this game. I think they cover. It's 8.5 points, but this has got trap game written all over it. I don't think Coastal Carolina beats them, but see if it's a little bit closer for most of the ball game before Arkansas State kind of pulls away. It was a big senior night for Caleb Fields. Again, Arkansas State's playing really well. They will probably, I'm going to guess, they're going to need to probably win both ball games to secure the 4th seed. Or they may not, depending on what happens with the Cajuns. Cajuns have not been playing well for their last 4 ball games. They did not shoot well on the road. Kevin Foote, the beat writer, thinks they're just tired. They shot lights out against Bowling Green. They didn't play particularly well against Georgia State, but they played really well the game before against South Alabama. So we'll see. They did not play well against ODU on the road. Won that ball game. Didn't shoot it well. Played pretty well against App State for about 33 minutes of that game. App State pulled away. Did not play at all well against UL Monroe. Lost and played well for about 10 minutes of the first half against Southern Miss. Actually played well for the 10 to 5 minute mark in the second half to pull within 5, but then Cubello had a 3-pointer, and was it Moore who hit a 3-pointer? No, that's going to bother me. Who hit the other 3-pointer? Oh, Mo Arnold hit the 3-pointer. That's it. So Mo Arnold hit a 3-pointer, and the Cajuns just couldn't catch up. So if Troy beats the Cajuns and Arkansas State beats Coastal, then the 4th seed is wrapped up. Did I have that right? Let's see. I did. All right. Then it'll be wrapped up. We'll see if the Cajuns bounce back. All right. They need they had the ball game against Troy. They turned the ball over 20 times. 20 times. Troy's one of those teams. They play really good defense, but they may have trouble scoring. Muhammad put that ball game away. Oh, that may have been the South Alabama game. He made like a 25-footer, maybe even a 30-footer. We'll see if they can contain Kentingi, see if Kobe Julian can hit some threes. Kentrell can hit some threes. Kentrell Garnett. I think they just shoot much better at home. Cajuns are 2.5-point favorites. I'll take the Cajuns. Although I don't think it's the end-all be-all if you lose and have to play in that second day of tournament action. Although Bob Marlin said it was because they just don't have the depth. They have like 6 players and then a couple of freshmen come in and spell when they can. Although Landry Fields had a big ball game against App State in the first half. And Ratliff, I think he had a big ball game a couple of games ago at home. Good job off the bench. That may have been against Bowling Green. So we shall see. Big news would be, though, if App State wins the conference title and who maybe avoids the bottom 4. All right. And if the Cajuns lose, then they're going to be playing on that Thursday instead of that Saturday. That's a big difference because now you can stay in Lafayette for the whole week, get down there on Friday and play on Saturday. Otherwise, you're going to go down there on Wednesday and play on Thursday and take Friday off. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into Locked On Sunbelt. We'll recap all of the action from Wednesday's basketball and baseball, the midweek action as well. We will do that for Thursday's episode. We're still trying to figure out if we're getting to the Sunbelt Conference Tournament. We're still debating all of that. All right. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Have a great Wednesday, everybody, and we'll talk to you again on Thursday.